गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः।
Very fact that you and I are discussing about the dance form of Bharatanatyam and the fact that Bharatanatyam is such a popular dance form, that is because of Srimati Rukmini Devi arundale. Should we not see something of her?
Art is life. It is character. People think of art as if it were something far away from themselves. You may think of me as a dancer, an artist. But are you not going to be an artist also? Have you not some art in you? My idea is that everyone is an artist, for everyone responds to beauty. Some people may paint pictures, but when you are in the store and say, "Oh, what a nice sari that is," are you not responding to beauty? We must help that desire to unfold in our pupils, so that with it may come good taste. We have to be afire with beauty.
Must we do what is taught by the teacher, or can we innovate in the doing of the Adavu patterns or in the Abhinaya and bring in new ideas to suit today's climatic conditions? I don't mean weather, but today's audience.
If the teacher is very great and his teaching is very outstanding and beautiful, you should try to follow what he teaches you. But it doesn't mean that afterwards you cannot change or improve. Not improve the style so much, because if he is a perfect artist, you can't say I'm changing the style. But you can do new combination of movements and new songs and so on. I myself had done a good deal of changing, because at the time when I took it up, great deal of reforms were necessary. Therefore I experimented with a great deal. So I don't see, it all depends upon your capacity and your ability and what kind of an artist you are.
Dance in India is infinitely rich and varied. As varied, in fact, as the land of India itself. And the origin of all the classical systems has been the temple. It is in the temple that they were conceived and nourished. It was also in the temple that they attained their full maturity. Just as man offers flowers in the temple to God, so has he offered music and dance as being the most beautiful creative expressions of the divine. India alone has a concept of a god who dances. Shiva is Nataraja, Lord of Dancers, who dances in the hall of consciousness and weaves into it the rhythm of the universe. I have studied many forms of Indian dancing, also many forms of Western dancing. There is one keynote in Bharatanatyam which is unique as far as I am concerned, for it creates and transforms everyday things into a message of spirituality to the world. This itself convinces me that it is a form of art which has been given by God. Dance is a very difficult art to master. Not merely because it has so much to do with physical movements, but because the responsibility of the artist is far greater in this art than in any other.
In a Bharatanatyam recital, we follow a particular order, that is maybe given about 100. Do we have to follow that, or can we change?
You see, at the time that I learned, that was the system established by the Tanjore Quartet. You know who they are, and it was systematized that way. But there is no proof that it was not done differently before. I think it was something that was systematized by them. I don't think that we have to follow that particular rule. It has a special meaning because from the point of view of physical training, it develops first with Alaripu, with his no words but purely rhythmic movement and dedication and so on. Then goes Jatiswaram, which is only Swara and Jati and no words. Then comes Jatis and words in Shabdam. So it's a gradual development. Then the Varnam has all the aspects of the dance. So it had its own logic, but I am sure there is no rule that we have to do it that way now.
All children are beautiful. All animals are beautiful. The only difference is that a child can express what he feels and ask for help when he needs, while the poor animal cannot. So somebody must speak for them, and that somebody is you and I. An animal is always grateful for the little that is done for him. All the saints of India have spoken about ahimsa. This country, more than anywhere else, has grown the great ideal of vegetarianism. To be really spiritual, to live spiritually, ultimately you must recognize the sanctity of every living creature. You must feel one with the suffering of every living creature. You must understand that compassion is not just speaking or doing a kind act. The kindest thing that anyone can do is not to exploit another. This is the great teaching of the Buddha, the teaching of Sri Krishna. From time immemorial, it has been a living belief in India. Vegetarianism is not merely a concept of what to eat, it is a way of life. It is life itself. It is a fundamental quality, a fundamental teaching that recognizes the sanctity of all life.
From her. The decision is deliberate. It's part of her belief about learning.
You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. So I've given them all the opportunities. Let's hope they will take it. It doesn't mean they will copy exactly what I do, because I didn't copy anybody, so they need not copy me either. As long as what is created is something true and beautiful, that's all that matters, and I hope that somebody will come out of it. But supposing it doesn't work, don't you think, if you have worked for 60 years, 70 years, all your life, that you have sown the seeds, and one should be satisfied with that. What else can I do?
In 1934, my brother, her brother, and I took her to see Indian dancing. And two girls who were first-class dancers were dancing. You won't see that kind of dancing anymore except here in Kalakshetra.
And I was really fascinated by this Bharatanatyam. And they asked me, do you think you can do this dance? I said, I have a feeling I can, and I want to learn. Then we searched for the teachers. We went to every dancer's home to see the different teachers, because I didn't know what was right, what was wrong, what was good or bad. So I studied to see which teacher attracted me most.
But the teacher had to be convinced Rukmini wasn't just a dilettante. For the next 10 years she underwent the strictest training, and when she felt she was ready, at the age of 31, she invited 100 friends to watch her perform. Curiosity attracted 2,000. Almost all were offended by what they saw.
Brahmins were shocked, non-Brahmins were shocked, Theosophists were shocked, everybody was shocked. I didn't think it was vulgar. I only thought it needed reformation. The costumes had to be reformed, this music had to be reformed, the presentation had to be reformed.
Bharatanatyam, what we call Bharatanatyam, would have died out. There would be no Bharatanatyam. There would be something else which would call itself Bharatanatyam, but she retained the purity, the classicism, and along with that, the knowledge of the art.
Saying that it is the way you express the abhinaya, that is interpretation of the songs, because Shringara is part of life, and why not show it the right way? Could you say a little more about it? How subtle you have to be, how you have to show it?
It's if you take a really good Kshetriya Pada, for example, you first of all you have to select the right songs, because what may sound right in poetry may not sound right in actual gesture by the human flesh and form. You cannot have the same medium. I remember once at a conference, there was a discussion about ornaments and clothes. Somebody said, the statues are so beautiful even without clothes. It's natural, they said. But I said, we cannot do exactly what the statues are. First of all, the attitude with which the person who has done the statue changes the beauty of the form. So you must remember, these songs, they were composed by divine inspiration. You read the life of the composer and you will see they had actually pratyaksha, vision of Krishna, and they saw everything in a divine form and they put that into the music, into the poetry. What we have to do is to interpret the same spirit in our movement. But being purely physical, we may have, and it is movement, we have to convey it through movement and through expression of the eyes and so on. And if you bring it down to the level of the flesh, then you are not keeping it at the level at which the composer composed it. And therefore, we are not even interpreting it in the right way. But it's wrong to say we shouldn't have Sringara, because Sringara is love, yes, and beauty, but without which I think there will be hardly any dance at all.
There is another name, they call it as Bhakti Sringara. Would that suit what you want to say?
Bhakti and Sringara must be one.
You cannot separate them.
You can't separate that. That is, depends upon you. I have danced many of these things. Of course, I have selected carefully, because sometimes people have chosen songs that are rather coarse in words and not suitable for interpretation in the human body. But when I have danced, I must very frankly confess it. If I didn't have Bhakti, I couldn't have danced it. I really couldn't have. Because the delicate feeling, you have to lift yourself to a much higher consciousness and become one with that spirit. Then the movements express that. It is not by your movement you express the feeling, it is by your feeling you express the movement.
I'm Anna Pavlova.
Pavlova advised Rukmini to explore her own dance culture, but there was a problem.
I was living in a part of India which is famous for both music and dance dramas and temples and so on. So I was in that particular atmosphere. And so, in spite of it, I was not allowed to see the dance at all.
Why was that?
Because at that time there was a big stigma attached to them, because the dancers were professional from a particular caste called Devadasi, and they were considered to be, many of them, prostitutes.
As a Brahmin girl, Rukmini Devi knew she must not marry outside her caste. She did more than that. She married a foreigner, an Irishman called Dr. Arundale, many years her senior. It was unheard of.
Absolutely unheard of. We were people, the public was abusing us like anything, and we were lost all. He was very popular. I was not known, of course, but he was very popular. He was the head of a big college, educationist, and so popular that young people just surrounded him. He identified himself with India.
Sharada Hoffman and a few perfectionists, mainly women, helped Rukmini research the ancient dance and then explore new horizons for it. At 81, Rukmini still very much in charge.
No, I don't want them to do it straight. No, I don't mind if they forget, because the idea is teaching. So therefore, if they don't do it rehearsed, it doesn't matter. நான் என்ன பண்றேன் அப்பப்போ வேறையா தான் போறது புத்தி நான் என்ன பண்றேன் எனக்கு ஏற்பாடு பண்ணி நான் சொல்லி கொடுத்தேன்னா சரி if you can't doesn't know that tune you can sing another என்ன பார்க்காத
The principal showcase at Kalakshetra is the dance drama, based on Hindu epics and simple folk legends. Down the years, Rukmini's invented, choreographed and continued to teach a succession of new works.
இல்ல இல்ல चलो मना இப்படி வா
Her latest production will be seen at the annual festival. It's about a female saint and poetess of the 16th century who preached human equality well ahead of her time.
மூடிக்க வாயா
In an audience is always mixed, is it not? Some come to see the dance, some to see the dancer, and some to see her form and everything. So it is mixed. So don't you feel that by doing Bharatanatyam we should try and lift them to a higher plane of thought and not trigger their baser instincts? How would we try to do that?
There is no question about it. There is no question at all. If Bharatanatyam is supposed to stimulate the lower feelings in the audience, then it's better not to do Bharatanatyam at all.
That was memorable, was it not? Until next time.